All right, everyone. Well, welcome to one of the, on a break meta histories that we're doing. This one is going to be probably a shorter one because this isn't a particularly long video, but it is one that I think has held up really well. I'm personally a bit of a fan of it, and that's Bubble Blower returning in Splatoon 3. Now, obviously, when it comes to these older ones, there's a lot less I can talk about in terms of production because, it's a long time ago. It's kind of hard to remember too much. This was definitely back before I really did written scripts as much. I do them a little bit more nowadays, but even then it's not all the time. And yeah, we're going to open with this clip and then I'm going to talk about it. Splatoon 2 had some of the worst design specials in the entire series, and the thought of bringing back something like Ink Armor and Stingray would literally... Oh, nice job, YouTube. ...literally break some weapons or modes in the game. So, I opened with background footage that was ripped from, what's it called? Splatoon 2 is balanced or something like that, or Splatoon 2 is broken. So I used clips from Splatoon 2 is broken, which I think the subtitles might have clashed a little heavily. It wasn't something I'd do nowadays, but it was good background at the time. And then we jumped straight into kind of the opening, which was talking about Kraken Bubble coming back. So, what about Splatoon 2? What could we do? People who wanted it back, that kind of deal. And then we used a lot of background footage from Chocopero. Definitely more than we would have used in background footage today, but it is up there now. And it's basically meant to be an intro that throws you in pretty quickly. It probably opens a little negative. I don't know if I'd do an opening like this going, guys, remember Splatoon 2 specials? They sucked. Nowadays, I probably moved past that. Also, just look how big old Bubble Blower was. You can really tell how much better my intros have gone, because this is long, the opening is questionable, some of the footage placement could be better, and, I don't know, just in general, I would not have opened this video the same way. That said, I think once we get past the intros where the video starts getting really good, there's a lot of interesting visual shots we do, and I like the format of this video. This is one of those that has, subtitle pacing, which goes how Bubble Blower works, what made it special, the nerfs it needs, and then the new ability and weapons that it should be on, which is a very simple format. It flows very nicely with each other. I'm personally just a very large fan of how the rest of this video flows past the intro. So this one is basically a small catch-up point. It's going over how the special works, and the explanation is, pretty short, very simple, and I like the shots for it. I think this holds up really well. I could see this in a video from today. And I also like this segment, one, because it explains the absurd bubble duration problem really well, which goes into the nerfs later, but also it's a good segment between them. We're transitioning immediately from how it works into what makes it good. So ending it with the most, so ending it with the thing that really needs to be nerfed is a good way to go into that, I think. And yeah, it's a very simple segment. There's not a whole lot to say. Most of this really just comes down to pacing, explaining it without missing anything while going through it pretty efficiently, and Bubble Blower just has a lot to talk about, but it flowed very well. And now we get into what made Bubble Blower special, which is, again, another segment I feel like I don't have too much to talk about. I do like the music choice for it, and this is definitely one of those segments where we would have had more than just background footage at the end of the day for this one, but this one is just mostly about, why is Bubble Blower so liked, what makes it different, and basically it's the fact that it has a lot more option selection. It's not a very simple special, and that does mesh very well with S3. And again, I just really like the script I did for this. This is a very efficient way of explaining it. I like the wording that I do, all of it. It works really well. I just think this is very efficiently scripted, one of my best scripts. We want to keep and expand on that strength. However, like with Kraken, it's not as simple as just copy-pasting it to Splatoon 3. And then, yeah, Kraken's an easy comparison for it, and that basically takes us straight into the nerf segment, which I did try to transition into with this line. Things I want to address is the special's absurd duration, especially for something that can function as 3 separate shields that can turn into explosions, and secondly, the insta-pop combo. I tried to go a little faster on the nerfs, mainly because I know it's probably not the most exciting thing to hear, oh, we should bring the special back, but let's make it worse. It has to be special, and that put a lot of pressure on the segment after this, which I'll talk about in a minute, because it's definitely the most important part of the video. Camping near bubbles to try to move something like the Rainmaker or Clam Blitz pushes through. Remember, Very good clip, by the way, for the background footage there. Our allies deal more damage to it and can constantly... This one, too. We had a lot of good clips in this one. Very simple nerf. I don't think this is really controversial at all, pretty much. And the next nerf was the one that was a bit harder, which is how do we nerf the Insta-Pop combo. I spent a lot of time on this because original concepts were pretty much just getting rid of it. Because obviously, you know, having the combo is significantly important with it, and in the end, the reason I didn't do that is I felt it would take away from the whole complexity thing. Like, the idea is that the special has a lot of different ways it could be used, a lot of different utility. And if you were good at it, you know, you would be able to figure out what you should do and what you should use, right? And so getting rid of the combo inherently just weakened that too much. So instead, it's just slowing it down. And the visual for that was also done really well. I also like that the background footage here shows multiple different kinds of bubble blower combos. So yeah, we had to explain the two problems with it before I got to the nerf. So that was the first one. The second one is obviously, well, if you don't have that combo, it like obviously is very different. And then I really liked the visualization and nerf for it. Like, you can see the difference in the frame timer, and it's really that simple, right? Like, it's not that much. Maybe I would have nerfed it by a little bit more today. Like, I would have done maybe, I think, like 10 frames instead of 5 frames. But I really like the side-by-side. It's like a good way of showing how just a tiny difference can really mean a lot in the game, but makes it much easier to react to, especially on bomb. And what I like about this one is you can see that it's more noticeable on the double bubble blower combo because of this. So like if you go for the single bubble one that has a faster explosion but a smaller radius, it's not hit as hard. But this really big explosion radius is like more noticeable. I like how that stacks nerf-wise. I felt this came across well. Anyway, this entire video, for it to work, had to have this part work, which briefly, I guess I also mentioned that it would be parry proof from squid rolls, like you wouldn't be able to parry the 220 hit, which is cool. But this was the whole new ability that had to make it work. And it's basically this idea right here that bubbles would actually stick to some kind of surface like this that made the whole video work. Because without a new ability, like even a buff wouldn't really work, because it would obviously just be weaker. It has to have something new. It has to have something exciting and engaging, or the whole video falls apart, frankly. I think there has to be some kind of hook of like, yeah, if you bring it back, there could be this cool thing. And I really like this. It's very simple. It's very easy. If you're near a wall when you blow the bubble, it can stick to it. You can still have bubbles bounce off walls, but you could also have it stick to it. And the visual's there, and it's simple, and it's practical, and I just really like it. I think it's a really interesting way to add to the special. It still feels different compared to something like Big Bubbler, and I think it was just the concept that allowed the video to really execute exactly the way it should. And then I think originally this was there partially to help drag out the video time a little bit, because that was the case for Kraken. Or maybe that was the case in the Kraken video, and we just extended it into this one, you know, to keep it consistent between two videos for 5 weapons with it. And all the weapons here are good choices. Obviously, there's the copycat ones, which is pretty obvious here. Tenebrella getting it again. You have a shield you can kind of use with it. That makes a lot of sense. And again, a lot of the footage for this is very basic and nothing special here. You know, it's training room clips and clips from games and stuff like that, showcasing the synergy and showcasing the mind synergy and all of that. That is all just very simple and very easy. Big Swig was about the object damage, so we show off the object damage. That helps out quite a lot. This buff was very new at the time, so it was especially important here. And again, made a lot of sense with it as a support. Beacon on it I probably would change. Given how much it needs help with combat, Beacon was probably a bit of a troll pick. I should have known better. Bamboo, I talked to Ollie about this. Big Bamboo player, another editor for the channel. And yeah, I mean, they really liked this combo, and I felt like it was a combo that was very overshadowed because of MPU, which is, again, something I mentioned in the script. So it was really cool to talk about that, and obviously, because Ollie is such a big fan of it, I have very good clips I can use from him. So this was good to put in. These were all obvious, though. You know, there's some of the, outside of Big Swig, you know, I think these are obvious picks, and then Squeezer is also here. So it's 3 reference kits. I originally wanted to do just 2, but I felt that these 3 were all very iconic combinations to bring back. And then Squeezer I just changed as a way of sort of nerfing it, you know, nerfing the kit down a little bit, making it a little bit less combat intensive, which is fair. You know, I think that's a fine thing. I wouldn't change very much. And then this was the real original kit of it all, was with Reflux, which again has high object damage like with Big Swig. And this is probably the kit I would change or change Big Swigs because I feel these overlap a little bit now. Like, they're both Bubble Blower, high object damage, new supports in the game. I would have probably changed one of these around. I'm not really sure what I would do instead, but you can literally see from the background footage showing it like shredding objects that, like, yeah, that's very similar. And I feel that's kind of the biggest mistake of the video there is probably just, Reflux should have been something else to make the weapon stand out better. Thoughts on Bubble Blower? It didn't require as extreme a rework as Kraken, but I think the special would be really cool in this game, and if they're willing to bring it back, I would definitely be up to see it. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all next time. You can really see that my outro bit, the things I say, hasn't really changed from that long ago. Here's another obscure thing I can talk about. When I changed my outro, one of the things I had for it, other than having more cards on screen, which was obviously very important, I really like the Octo expansion visuals, by the way. These are just so cool. Obviously, both outros have good background, but I really do have a special place for the Octo expansion ones. But one thing I did that you might not know about is I had the outro be shorter. It's about half the duration of the old outro because obviously people click away from videos when the outro comes up, and so it helps with overall, retention time and like view duration and all that for the outro to be shorter. So when I got a new outro, that was part of the change that I made, is I wanted it to be shorter. But this old outro is still very special. I tend to use it with older Splatoon 1 and 2 videos when I cover it. It's not as common anymore, but I still keep it around because I still do really like it. The art from Foe is amazing. I really like the Octo expansion stuff that I mentioned. It's definitely more simple than the new outro, but I still just really like it. So yeah, I didn't really have very much to say. I think this ended up being a very short post commentary, probably because this is definitely the oldest video I'll be talking about. All of the other ones are, I think, are at least 2024. This video is 2023. So again, it's very hard to remember a whole lot, but it's a good look back at like how much production quality has really improved. Obviously, I still really like this video, but I know, like, if it was made nowadays, like, we'd definitely do a lot better of a job with it. But that said, like, the reason this is one of my favorite videos is, one, I think the idea with the buff I talked about was good. But two, I just thought it was a good overall design. I like all the changes that I did with it. I thought the script for it was extremely tight. I felt the video pacing was good. I felt like I learned a lot about really structuring videos to have a good overall flow. And that was the big lesson that I got from this one. So yeah, shorter one for sure today, but I hope it was fun to look back at this video. And yeah, it is quite special to me. So thank you guys for watching.